You ever realize you know more than what you know? Everywhere around the world, every single day, no matter where we go, we learn something. And all of us, not only do we learn something, but we're able to do something with it. I guess that's why I try to reach out, try to nudge you awake if you're awake. If you are awake, try to nudge you to go into a direction to unite as a family. Because there's so much information that we don't know as well. But inside of us, that innate being knows right offhand what is right, what is wrong, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And I really think, I know that every single one of us, if we were to unite today, drop all the baggage that we have, that we're able to take over this world. We can sit there and surpass all governments. You are a special being, every single one of you. The puzzle, I guess, is humanity. Every single one of us is a puzzle piece. So it's 7.5 billion pieces or more in this world that need to link together, come together, accept one another as if they were another one of yourself. There's a way that we can change everything, and I mean everything, right now. I can sit there, I try to pull in different words to try to see if I could reach you guys. And I want it to be more authentic than what you see on the social media sites, and the videos. I mean, believe me, they're all great. The ones that present a lot of information, telling you the truth. But we really don't understand what the truth is. We've been told to listen and follow. So we believe that there's one side of it. But the other side is inside of you. I know within me, I could tell you within 1 second, not even, and maybe less than that, whether I should be doing something or whether I shouldn't. And also who can control and who cannot control. But if you look at society and you walk in society and try to control somebody, they're going to sit there and stand their ground. But none of us are really standing our ground against our government. I mean, we used to have, or we still do, we do have people that'll sit there and protest, but it's verbal. It doesn't do too much because they sit there, the ones that want to control us counter it every which way. And if you know that you know more, reach out to the public. Tell your story. Go ahead, set up a social media site. Doesn't matter. Just sit there and speak like I'm speaking. Just speak with your own truth, your own divinity. Because I know that history has been tainted for years. Ever since I was a little boy, actually. And the more and more I spoke to people, the more difficult it was for them to swallow when I was younger. Now, people are able to understand it and digest it and navigate through the system once you have these conversations that change your perception. And if all of us did have a social media platform where we could reach out to everyone, you'll hear everyone's perception. And once we do, we'll form a better perception. There's never a better you without a better me. And we have to really stick together. Right now, it's very important. It's imperative for us to stick together. I can see it on a lot of the social media sites that I frequent. We'll sit there passing information, passing some knowledge, and there are a lot of people that sit there and want to respond to it which is okay. It's great to have your opinion. But now it's time to do something. We all have to create an action that really does something. Just like the powers that be do. Create more and more actions every single day. But we all know that most of it comes off the television. If the TV doesn't say it, we don't believe it. It's very difficult to believe someone that has knowledge because you feel belittled inside when you don't know it or if you haven't heard of it, which is understandable. There's a lot of things I haven't heard. I won't sit there and fight anyone on it, but I will digest it. And my innate intelligence will sit there and link it together. It's easy. I think it's easy for all of us. It's just we're so distracted. But it is time for every single one of us just to stand up. And if it is boycott, great. If it's boycotting, boycott. If you go back in history and you see that most of the assassinations in the world had to do with someone trying to better their country and get themselves away from that corporation called government. And we also have an understanding of corporations, but we think it's businesses. And technically it is. But the corporation I'm talking about was the corporation that was created the time of the Caucasus Wars. And that was to enslave humanity in total and destroy every living being and every living animal, every living entity on this planet. And everything is living. Everything around us is living. When you're out in nature, if you can hear it. I know I've said to people, I hear it speak to me. And yeah, it sounds a little crazy, only because we came from a generation that wasn't supposed to believe all of that stuff. But we already know that history, whether it's tainted or not, there's always truth in it. You know, legends, for instance, became our fairy tales and became part of history, and then later on it would be reconditioned into something totally different. But if you're still from the past generations of Generation X and before, and you're still alive on this planet, they've been after you for a minute, because you're the ones that know history. You're the ones that have an account of your great-grandparents, your grandparents, even your account of your life. And you can see the differences and everything that's been happening. For instance, I mentioned many times that we saw a big change in the 70s and the 50s. Even though I wasn't born in the 50s, I was able to hear a lot of information from my parents who were born in the 40s, and information of elders that were born before that. And I think the one that I knew for the longest was born in the 20s, the 1920s. And they lived a long life. So they were able to shed a lot of light on information, and they also traveled. So they've got to enhance my perception with all of this. And we already know that the powers that be right now, they're coming from different countries. We already know that America was created by different countries. We already know that it was a mix of Europeans and Asians and you name it, everywhere across the Atlantic Ocean. Nothing was really started here, because otherwise you would have had a Native American or Aboriginal working with them. And of course, history does show that there are a few that they misled or forced to do the work for them. But we already know on this planet that there's something really, really wrong. And it needs to change right now, right this moment. I always ask every single one of you to go out there and reach out to someone every single day. But most of us are stuck in that regimen of working, stuck in that regimen of groups, and we don't want to hop out of those comfort zones. When I was taught, and our generation was taught, to fear the person that's over the fence. because history has always feared someone over the border. But it doesn't really matter, because right now there are practically no borders. I remember being able to travel to different countries without a visa, and now you have so much paperwork in order to get in these countries. And then in order to get in these countries, they want to infect you. I know in the earlier video I was talking about the infections of COVID, and by mistake I said 2023, but it was before that, 2020s, 2020, 2021, around that it came. But 2023 is when they realized, hey, this is a money maker. People are really in such a fear that they're willing to kill themselves. We saw that in 2020 or 2019. I know I was in 5 different countries when COVID hit, and every single time they wanted me to take a test, and every single time I took a test, I would feel this weird scratch in the throat. But because I always worked with natural products, I was able to change these things in my system. They talk about the immune system, but that immune system is your lymphatic system broken down in certain categories to create the idea of the immune system. Now you are a powerful entity inside this flesh, and it's encased in there for a reason. And there are certain libraries that the ones that B cannot access, which is inside of you. And if you can access these libraries, you can take over the world. You really can. I feel sometimes that I'm on my own when I start speaking to people, because there's so many people that have a hard time digesting the belief that they are something beautiful and something powerful. We all came from the last 2,300 years listening to a religion become an organized religion, and the organized religion set for a different type of system where that belief within oneself, that belief of that image that we were created in, doesn't exist. I remember as a little kid, my uncle said to me, he's like, the greatest feat that the devil ever did was make everyone believe that he didn't exist. So the system created a system for you to not believe in something that exists within you. Now, we don't have to sit there and fight, because we're beautiful entities and we could always have peace. I've seen that a lot on YouTube when I used to watch Martin Luther King videos, because this was just one man that never used a weapon and never was voted into any type of politics, but he would still politic against the politicians and still win. I think that's why they, eventually took him out, because he was able to change a lot of things. And everywhere I went in the 69 countries, they've all spoken of him. So they all know that it's possible for one human being to change the world and unite a lot of others. And it's time for us to unite. Mostly when I speak, on my earlier videos on earlier platforms, I used to sit there and want to teach everyone, because I was always taught each one teach one. But I noticed that they don't like us teaching each other. They don't like us waking up each other. They don't like us uniting at all. That's one thing I've seen. And it doesn't matter what color skin you're in. You're a human being, period. Now, that human being, they have family lineage that crosses this Atlantic Ocean. So we already know that everyone's family lineage, bloodline comes from somewhere else. There are a lot that are here in the States, don't get me wrong, but they also came from across that water. Science has also proven that fact. But for some reason, they got us stuck in these color wars, trying to hate each other for where we come from or whatever continent that we're in, whatever country that we're in. You're a human being. You come from one family lineage, and that you need to accept. I am another you, and you are another me. So we need to get up and take action. Get up and accept one another. And it's possible for all of us to love one another, even though we don't understand the definition of love. But if I may, I would just say that if I watch a mother and her child, and I see the way she looks at that child, and the child looks at that mother and knows that I'm safe with you, you're safe with me, that's what I see what love is. And that's how I believe we should be with one another. You're safe with me and I'm safe with you. And there is 1%, if that, of the world that is trying to change that. And there's no need for any of us to believe them anymore. Governments is very funny. I remember hearing every single time I heard a politician, even if it was the president of the United States, and they said, God bless us, or God save the Queen. When it came from them, I thought it was an acronym, Government on Deployment. Because there's something inside of us that was created from that divine image. And they want to use the word God so that it's tainted. But there is something out there, something magical, something beautiful, divine, celestial, astral, that is so powerful, that can change anything in any moment. And I believe all of us can do that. All of us can access it. I love you guys, I really do. And I say it on every video, and I will never stop, because I do. It doesn't matter who you are. I just wanted to reach out and let you guys know that I'm thinking about you. I love you guys. In Lakesh.